All right, welcome everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on what time it is, wherever you are. It's good to have you with us. Welcome to this virtual summit for the Public Speakers Association. We will start off or just go ahead and get started with our first speaker. All right, our first speaker is Nadia Toch, and Nadia is an accountability wellness coach. She is a renowned habit change expert specializing in health and fitness. Originally, she's from St. Petersburg, Russia, and Nadia embarked on her professional journey at the age of 17, so pretty young. And today she is a guiding light for busy professionals who want to start taking care of themselves, but want guidance and accountability. She empowers us to establish a successful support system for non-negotiable health self-care habits in three pillars of health: positive mindset, mindful nutrition, and conscious fitness. Nadia is the author of My Power Journal, which is a 3-month personal coaching at your fingertips. Nadia is not only a dedicated community builder, but also a distinguished member of the National Speakers Association and recognized as a thought leader in the realm of habit formation. All right, so it's time to welcome to the virtual stage, Nadia.
Welcome and thank you. How are you doing? I really mean, how are you doing? Busy, tired, fine, overwhelmed? Do we hear or say a thing or feel things like that? In fact, being busy is a norm. More than that, it's expected norm. So how are we in this busy, overwhelmed lifestyle that is expected in the whole entire nation and the world? Find what's the most essential for ourselves and our lives and businesses. Let me take you on the journey, how we establish our power that we can make a contribution for the world through our own wellness. In fact, the matter of the world, ladies and gentlemen, is how we feel internally. Do you know that at least in the United States, that's what I know, nationally, obesity is 40%. I'm not talking about overweight. That's obesity. That's even more. And it's climbing and it's rising and it's the whole state of the world. In children, it's 18% just in this country alone. We're not even mentioning, or I will mention, the anxiety and depression is skyrocketing, and especially in the last 4 years in this country. And what we experience here in the country and internally is not just ends there. It's everywhere in the world. The internal feeling spreads the ripple effect in our personal life. Didn't check the statistic, but the last time I heard it's 50% of divorce rate. It's the relationships between us and our children. It's the relationships of, oh, let me take care, I'm guilty of that too, of my own business when I deprive myself of sleep. Who is here with me? Not asking the question. Just came out of my mouth. And you know that some of those situations, and in fact, #1 cause of death is heart disease. Some of the heart diseases, some of even cancers, diabetes, some of those diseases can be prevented. And how we prevent them? By starting with ourselves. The situations that I described, such as obesity, is global pandemic. That's a new term for obesity. And we always feel like it's someone else's problem. In fact, what's happening in the world as well. But it's not. I challenge us all today to start by looking in the mirror. You remember the song? If you want to change the world or not, Please look at the mirror. So let me take you on the journey of a little girl who went through these 3 stages. The 3 stages is, hold on, 3 fingers, seek clarity, protect your momentum, and own your mastery. That's how you own yourself, your personal wellness, and creating a ripple effect in your business, in your family, in your small world, and the larger world. Are you ready? Okay. I pulled out this picture and I'm going to share real quick. Oop. That's a wrong link. Here's a little girl. It's a picture of the picture. She's 5. You can probably guess. That's me. Oh, look, she's still wearing blue. That's actually how she felt at that age. Pretty blue. My memory, I am, as Brian mentioned, from Russia. That time when I was born was communism. So my first memory, I don't know if it's real or not, but I'm sitting in a dark corner. So she's sitting in a dark corner, kind of hiding in that room, because guess what? No one sees or hears her. She's safe. She's quiet. So to find herself decades later in the new country with new family, her business, she's sitting by the lake, kind of in the same position, hiding her face, hugging her knees, and she's crying her head off, asking those life questions. Have you ever been in the kind of internal agony of finding the answers of why am I here? Why is this happening to me? Why is my business not growing? Maybe the family is collapsing. Maybe I just don't feel good about myself. So all these questions that I was asking that moment, and in that silent moment by the lake, I heard the voice. The voice said, "You are where you're supposed to be. Now take the boat in your direction." That sounds motivational. What do I do? The answer was, you start with yourself. The answer was that you start with your personal care, with finding and creating your personal power. So today I want to show you those 3 steps how to. So bust up your journals if you have your notes, and let's go through the process. Before we do anything, I invite us all, at least in my case, I got it. I'm going to put a curiosity goggles. Those are the glasses. But imagine when you put your glasses or goggles on, you're going to see the world through that color. I invite you to look through the color of curiosity, because there's no judgment in it. You're just going to be curious. Step number 1, seek clarity. What is it that I really want? How will my life look like when I get what I want? How is it going to be different? And if you can't really imagine, I want to teach you the tool. It's called at the end of. That might mean at the end of my life. It might mean at the end of my year, at the end of 3 months, or at the end of the project. So at the end of what's my best self is going to tell me today what is the most important, the most essential, and what is not. And at this point, you can also ask your best self, what is my non-negotiable habit that will help me to start achieving towards my goal? And I'm going to refer to my power journal that I hold in my hand. Maybe it is being mindful and listen to your body. Maybe it's taking silence breaks. Maybe it's eating 80% of the time healthy foods. Maybe it's taking movement stops, going outside 3 days a week for 15 minutes. Maybe it's learning something new every day. Congratulations, you're here. So what is that one habit? I'm going to call it non-negotiable that you're going to take on that will help you achieve your best self at the end of the project. And remember, your habits is like water pump. You're going to pump for a very long time at the very beginning, and that's where most people give up. But you know, you're going to overcome that resistance, and you're going to keep pumping because phase number 2 is coming, protecting momentum. Sometimes I refer it as protecting your boundaries. It's keeping the water pump going because you start hearing the bubbles coming out. The bubbles means you start noticing the difference. It starts feeling more motivational that it's happening. But you can't let the pump go. You still keep pumping. Let me teach you the tool how to protect that momentum by protecting your boundary. I love the topic of the positive sandwich. Anybody ate a sandwich with top and the bottom the same, whether it's your sausage or bread? So the positive sandwich is the top and bottom is going to be something positive. If someone requests you to go and do something, maybe for them, and you know it's not the 90% yes for you, it doesn't reflect your priority at the end of the project, you're going to acknowledge them with positive, thank you for thinking of me. You're going to say, cannot do it right now, please don't explain. And then you're going to say, thank you. I love the positive sandwich. In fact, you can do it when saying no to someone, or you can even reflect your days. That's why I love my power journal that I was holding, because that's how I journal in it, with positive in the day, then the challenge I might encounter, and what's my best self, how it's going to handle the challenge. So that's one of the tools of how you protect your momentum in the phase 2. Remember, you pump in your water, and this is where you start hearing the bubbles coming out. It feels more motivational. You inspire to keep going. You also keep falling in love with discipline. I think I'm showing the water pump like the old one, you know, on the ground. It's like really hard. You so fell in love with discipline, you know what to do. Your muscle memory is there. Your brain memory is there. Guess what's coming? The phase number 3 is you owning your mastery, because you know what's going to happen. You don't have to have as much effort. In fact, in owning your mastery phase, it's becoming who you are and who you're being, not what you're doing. It's becoming your habit. The water is coming out, and it takes about 10% of the initial effort to keep your habit going. In this phase, which is very important, let me teach you a tool number 3, is the ultimate transformation is the continuous process of letting go. Things are still falling on us, right? Life is life in us. But when we let it go, whether it's through breathing, through the exercise, through a mental work, you can let love in. And that's what we all want, isn't it? We want to release the tension, release the stress, so we can bring that love fully for ourselves and others. So, ladies and gentlemen, how to own your personal power and health so you can create that ripple effect for others is 3 phases. Seek clarity. At the end of is the tool that I introduced us to. Phase number 2, protect your momentum. Positive sandwich is the best. And phase number 3, own your mastery. Continuous process of letting go. This is how we create that priority for our human body with mind and soul and physical body that is given us by a higher power, so we can create a ripple effect in the world. I want to give you a challenge. For the next 3 months, what is the one area in your life that you know if you have a breakthrough, you're going to have the biggest transformation in your life, at least for the next several years. What is it? Make it the one that kind of shrinks your heart. And in this challenge for this 3 months, what is the one habit, that non-negotiable habit that you know if you continue doing it will help your best self to reach where you want to be? Remember, your habits and owning your personal power is like a water pump. You keep pumping that water through first phase of seeking clarity, second phase, protecting your momentum, and third phase to own your mastery. Let me finish my presentation with a quote from a book, Tiny Habits, James Clear. The best asset we have to make a contribution in the world is ourselves. If we underinvest in ourselves, our minds, bodies, and spirits, we damage the very tool we need to make the highest contribution. Ladies and gentlemen, please remember to love yourself, love your community, love your business, love your world through your daily choices. Thank you.
Awesome. Does anyone have any questions for Nadia? There must be someone. Don't be shy. Go ahead, unmute.
Okay, I'll go. Nadia, congratulations. It was amazing talk. How do you, in your busy day-to-day life, how do you prioritize what's important to you? How do you fit everything that you want to do in a day when you have so many different things on your plate?
Oh, Tatiana, you know what to ask, right? Okay, so very often I wake up or I finish the day and I'm looking, oh my gosh, 36 things to do on my to-do list. Yeah, familiar? Okay. Then I ask myself a question. It's honestly that question that I taught us today. Okay, what is the one needle moving activity? Sometimes it's out of 36. It can be the area that is my needle moving area. And then out of 36, I'm like, oh, it's 5 to-dos that are connected with my needle moving area. For example, in my business, the book club, the Power Journal, we're going to start a new discussion tomorrow. So that becomes my priority for today. I only have 5 things on my to-do that reflect that area. Sometimes 5 take time. And then Brandon Burchard, High Performance Habits, he says, what is the only one thing that if you accomplish it today, you know that the needle moved towards where you want to be? What is this one thing? Usually it's the hardest one, but man, if you start with this and you're at least progress, baby steps, you will feel so accomplished. Tatiana, thank you for the question.
Fantastic. I always like to get new power hacks and I talk about that as well. So thank you so much.
Of course, thank you. Well, and if you have time, I can
Anyone
mention about
else?
the journal. Mm-hmm.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so if you have time, we should have a couple of minutes, right?
Oh, yeah, like 45 seconds.
45 seconds. Okay. So in fact, the my Power Journal I held in my hands is the one that is like a coach at your fingertips in your pocket. So it helps you to go through a process of one of the main areas of your life for next 3 months while still focusing on your self-care. So it's a self-care journal, but it's also, again, bringing what's important to me, what is the breakthrough I want to have in the next 3 months. So let me know if you're interested, or I also posted the link in the chat. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Nadia. All right, it's time to introduce our next speaker. And give me a second here. There we go. All right. Somesh Chablani is a senior global executive and leader with 30 years of rich experience in go-to-market, digital marketing, and sales. He has a strong track record of successfully building and implementing go-to-market strategies, digital sales channels, and sales enablement framework. He is an active member of leading industry associations such as the American Marketing Association, the Customer Experience Professionals Association, the Association of Sales Professionals, and Toastmasters International, and many more. Somesh is also a visiting faculty member in many colleges and a youth program mentor. And today, Somesh will share his go-to-market knowledge and tips for small and medium-sized businesses. His special focus is on the importance of branding, and the title of his presentation is Building Your Brand on a Shoestring Budget. All right, Somesh, take it away.
Thank you, Brian, for the invitation, and again, good morning, everyone. My presentation is a great segue from Nadia's presentation because I love what Nadia mentioned. Love your business and love what you do. This is so important, especially for the small and medium-sized businesses, which sometimes are more of an entrepreneurship rather than partnerships. So today, what I'm here to share with everyone is how do you apply the concept of go-to-market into a small and medium-sized environment. Let's look at what is go-to-market, and I share a few slides. But at a very broad level, this concept and word go-to-market is more corporate-ish, used and applied in a lot of big enterprises and big companies, and sometimes a lot of new entrepreneurs and including growing companies shy away thinking that go-to-market strategy is just for large enterprise. It's a myth, it's a fallacy, and I'm here to share how even somebody who's starting a business from greenfield can build his go-to-market strategy, because businesses is all about sustenance and consistency. Now, before I bring up my slides, I have a question from anyone in the audience. Can you guess what is the count of small businesses in the US? And I have the count as of 2023 end, but can you make a guess? The count of small businesses, enterprises just in the United States? Can anyone make a guess? Yes, it is millions, for sure. Well, as per the statistics of Small Business Bureau as well as the SBA, the count of small businesses comprising in the United States at the end of 2023 was 34 million. 34 million is the count of small business in the US, and it still is growing year on year. So you can imagine the importance and the impact it creates on the economy, not just from generating new incremental revenue in the economy, but also in terms of job creation. So let's look at what is go-to-market and how can we demystify this for application in the small and business environment. I presume you can see my screen. At a level, a go-to-market strategy involves a very coordinated approach introducing new products and services in the marketplace. It's all about who's your target audience. What exactly are you offering? Are you a restaurant offering different food services? Are you a salon? Are you an accountant? Or you are an educator or a tutor? There are so many flavors of small and medium businesses. So understanding who, what, why, when, where are fundamental foundation constructs of forming a go-to-market strategy. But if you have to formalize that into a plan, and there are a lot of templates, free templates available on the internet as well as on my website, the key components are, have you done your market research and analysis? And what I mean by that, a lot of folks are very excited to start a new business or expand their business. But when you ask them to pencil on paper, what's the overall target addressable market or TAM? That means who's the buyer persona, what's the target market? They really don't have any response or answers, because it's all about doing your homework before you invest your money. What is the value proposition of your business? How does it differ from the competition? What unique things bring into the marketplace to your customers? Do you have a pricing strategy? Again, whether you're an educator, you are an accountant, you are a consulting firm, or you're a restaurant, you need a pricing strategy. If it's services, it's subscription-based. Is it one time? How do you make that business consistent and scalable is the key. Do you have a sales strategy? Are you going to have in-person salespeople and distribution channel, or are you going to leverage social media, where there are so many freebies available for you to scale up and make your business not only reach in the region, but even outside boundaries, because the world is flat. Marketing plan. Do you have a marketing plan? Have you thought through, are you going to leverage the social media with platforms like LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, as well as other applications like WhatsApp, or you're going to limit it to 1 or 2 social media applications based on the nature of your business? And finally, it's all about client centricity. That means customer support and success. And if it's a net new business or a net new service, do you have a launch plan? When do you plan to launch it? What's your initial first 3 months plan going to look like? What happens if your plan does not succeed? Do you have a plan B in your pocket? And more importantly, have you penciled down that plan? How are you going to execute alternative value propositions based on the feedback from your initial clients? So this essentially is what is go-to-market. But with go-to-market, you also have a very important aspect for the small and medium businesses, which is applicable to, in fact, any size of business, is your brand. Brand is such an important aspect of business because it's your identity. What I did is I demystified the brand into an acronym so that it's easy for you to remember. The B stands for blueprint. Do you have a blueprint or a masterpiece of what you're going to do to connect your brand with your customers? How is your brand going to establish and engage with those customers through different relationships, right? Whether it's an in-person store or it's an online store. What is the agreement or the brand promise you're going to give to your customers so that when they recall the brand name, they always remember that promise? Like Starbucks, you enter into any Starbucks store, you have the same store experience. I was recently in Hong Kong and the Starbucks store was exactly the same in terms of the store in the US. That makes you feel that its brand is all about consistency and the same store experience. The nature, right? A brand is inherent nature of your business. So your brand also defines the personality of the business and how does it connect in the marketplace. And finally, is it just a generic brand or is it very distinctive and unique so that your clients or new prospects can always have a brand recall and always remember your brand? Remember the acronym BRAND, and that's a good way to start sketching down how you define your brand personality. After we talked about what is go-to-market and brand, this is a framework which I've developed, and it's easily applicable to a SMB, a mid-size, or an enterprise corporation. Over my 20 years of experience working in marketing, sales, go-to-market, I have applied this framework, which has worked very successful, at least for me, and I hope it works for you. When you launch a business, it is imperative, and I'll repeat it, it's critical that you define what is your core product and service offerings. Many times when I'm a visiting faculty at colleges or I get invited to speak at corporate environments, I observe and I experience that even senior leaders are having difficulty to explain what is their service offerings. If you can't explain your service offerings in less than 30 seconds, then you really have not really defined your product or service offering. It is so important, as if you're explaining to your mom or dad or your kids, what does your work or your company or your product do? You definitely need to have an integrated marketing plan, which I stressed upon in the prior slides, which is all about marketing and brand. Today, we live in a hybrid world. It's all about in-person and digital, which means that social media is such an important aspect of how your brand and your business connects with your clients. I was talking to an online tutor who started a small tutoring business just in maths based in California. Now he has expanded with more tutors into and offering different subjects. And he was mentioning how his brand, as well as his brand promise, helped him to expand by leveraging different social media channels. But he did not straight away jump to social media. It all started with, what's my brand? Why my tutoring service is so unique? How can I build a scalable business? And more importantly, how can I enhance the client experience? If his clients, if I have to stick to that example, were more teenagers and their parents, he got his most of the business, 90% of the business in the first 6 months to the next point in the framework, which is referrals. So when you are an entrepreneur who is starting as a one-man or one-woman show, referral plays a very key part in an SMB environment. And hence, the client experience makes or breaks your brand. We are all in a world where customers have the right and in a democratic environment to provide reviews online. So those dictate a lot of referrals. And finally, as I mentioned, it all sums up to how your brand is progressing and how you define and enhance your overall brand to your customers. So what are the steps to build a brand? We talked about what is go-to-market. We talked about what is brand and what's the importance of a framework. But how does a person who has a very good product or a service, understands his target market audience, knows how to leverage social media, how does that person define a brand if he's completely new to setting up a brand? Start with the purpose. Purpose is very important, right? Why does my business exist? And why am I here to service my customers? The second, come up with a name which aligns to your purpose. We all have a lot of options, tools, suggestions, opinions, friend circle, professionals to help us come up with a great name. After you come up with a name, do define a logo because pictures say 1,000 words. A logo, again, identifies and aligns to your overall brand, personality, and brand image. Then you solidify all what you have done in steps 1, 2, and 3 to solidify the modalities of spreading your brand image and your brand purpose through the different social media channels. And that includes in person wherever applicable. And then finally, you keep that constantly enhancing your brand. Many times I have observed, and I'm saying this because 90% of SMB business fail in the first year. And you know what's the single reason? You come very close to your goal, but you give up because you lack consistency. You may be great in purpose. You may have a great product. You may understand and do all the research. You have created a magnificent and excellent logo. But if you're not consistent and you use social media on and off and you connect with your customers in a very ad hoc fashion, then you are really not committed to expanding your business. Again, as Nadia said, you need to love your business. You need to depict and have that passion and embrace all actions which are aligned to your brand. Very important, basic 101, but very important. And then how do you amplify that brand? Again, I'll summarize what I said. It's all about mastering all the online marketing and social media if you're doing that, which I'm sure everyone today is very much social media savvy and digital savvy, but also creating content which resonates with your clients and your customers, your prospects. You just can't splash any content and copy from somewhere which is completely irrelevant for your business. A lot of people get carried away and do a lot of copy and paste. That does not, when you want to create a brand, maybe you as an entrepreneur or a thought leader or an educator can add your own ideas, which then resonates with your clients and prospects who then become your loyal and followers. Then give amplification to a lot of referrals. And when you have a lot of referrals, your brand amplifies. And then there are other low-cost tactics which you can always refer to in terms of free tools, free tactics, and how do you amplify your brand. Again, I have a free, you can download it from my website. How do you contact me? Here are my contacts, details. Again, I have a website on my personal name, someshchablani.com. Feel free to download some of the free materials from the go-to-market section. With that, Brian, I'll end the session and open for any questions.
I thought I was unmuted. I was not. Sorry. Any questions? Oh, Nadia has a question.
Yes, so thank you so much for a great presentation. How do you help us develop the brand? Like the step number one, come up with your brand. So what will be maybe the steps, tips that you can give us?
Yeah. As I mentioned, I have a free PDF which gives a more detailed elaboration of each of the steps, Nadia. But to put it in perspective, as I mentioned, and I'll repeat again, I have observed, experienced through conversation, discussion, lot of folks in the SMB business or entrepreneurs straight away jump to social media and, in a very excited way to start spreading all about their product and offerings. I would rather go first and put my thoughts and pencil it on paper in terms of what is the purpose of your product and services. Why does your business exist? How do you want to connect to your customers? How are they going to benefit? That will help you to define the brand. I think starting with the basics is very critical to the overall success of your business and your brand.
Okay.
All right. I have a quick question. I think it's quick. And I may have missed this from your presentation, but do you do one-on-one coaching or do you mostly just work with or speak to large groups?
No, I do one-on-one coaching as well, and absolutely open to do some pro bono coaching for anyone who is really having that passion and desire to amplify their business or start a business from greenfield.
All right. Awesome. Any other questions? Well, if there are no more questions, I guess we could move on to our next speaker. So speak now or forever hold your peace. No more questions. Okay. Thank you so much. So our next speaker is Tatiana Lobello. Tatiana Lobello. And with an entrepreneurial spirit, an attitude of gratitude, and an insatiable desire to succeed, Tatiana has achieved a magnitude of accomplishments. Her mission is simple: to inspire women to step into their true potential with clarity, confidence, and courage. Over the past few decades, Tatiana's entrepreneurial drive has led her to explore diverse avenues, building successful businesses along the way. From hosting, modeling, and acting to achieving a success as a spokesmodel, personal trainer, and beauty pageant consultant. Also winning numerous fitness championships titles marked her journey as one of the top fitness competitors and most sought after fitness models in the industry, driven by grit, determination, and hard work. Tatiana's journey spans from hosting a multitude of fitness infomercials to being a featured host on ESPN's Top Fitness Show. Acting on the big screen to hosting on the red carpet in Hollywood, from a published author to a professional cheerleader in the USFL, NBA, and NFL. As the creator of Becoming Your Own Superhero and CEO of Lobello Lifestyle, Tatiana provides transformative coaching, mentoring, and personalized programs that aim to create more impact, influence, and income. All right, so very impressive bio. Pretty cool. A lot of neat stuff. So it's my pleasure to welcome to our virtual summit, Tatiana. Sorry, I'm getting all the vowels mixed up in your name. Sorry.
Thank you so much, Brian. Thank you, Brian, and thank you for this dynamic PSA community and these fabulous speakers that have already spoken today. What a treat. I am excited to be here with you today, and I have a lot to unpack, and I feel there's a lot of synergy between what has already been said and what I'm going to share today. So if you would, what I like to do is grab my notebook, pen, so you can jot down some ideas, some thoughts, that I'm going to be covering today. My intention is that you will walk away with one idea, one thought, one concept that you could implement into your business and into your professional life so that you would take immediate action. Let me go ahead and find my screen here. 1 second. Okay, I love technology. All right, so we're going to just jump right in. My topic is really elevating your influence. And I'm going to give you a 3-step simple but effective formula for business growth. Let's go ahead and jump right in. We have a full agenda. I'm going to cover your elevator pitch, which Somesh just briefly touched upon. We're going to go into that a little bit more in depth. And no, ladies and gentlemen, we didn't plan this. We're going to go into the 3-step formula and then end with a call to action. So if you're ready, say I'm ready. Let's go ahead and jump into our elevator pitch. So what is an elevator pitch? Your elevator pitch is your concise and compelling introduction that sums up who you are, what your business does, and the value it brings. It is a powerful tool to capture attention and make a memorable impression and open new doors to opportunities. Now, I love it because in this fast-paced world, capturing someone's attention is essential. So it's important that we learn to craft our own unique pitch, and it will be your chance to open those new doors, sharing what you do in a short amount of time. Let's go ahead and jump into the 4 components of your elevator pitch. If you do not have an elevator pitch, I implore you to get one. It's who you are, what you do, who you help, and how you help them. This is crafting, so it's basically introducing yourself. And if you don't have a business, what I always like to say is, what is your brand? What are you bringing? What's your passion project? Who you are. So, and then describe whatever your business, services, products you offer, and then identifying who are you there to serve, and then what problem does your business solve? How you help them. So you're probably asking, well, Tatiana, that's great, but what does this look like in real life? Well, I am so glad that you asked, because I'm going to give you my 30-second elevator pitch. All right, go ahead and time me. Hello, my name is Tatiana Labello. I am the CEO of Labello Lifestyle. As a mindset coach, I empower mission-driven women to overcome limiting beliefs and unlock their true potential so they can achieve their personal and professional goals while cultivating a mindset for success. Through transformative tools and customized coaching, I provide resources to help them create more impact, influence, and income. All in 30 seconds, very dynamic. What's cool about the pitch is that you can tailor it toward whatever various situations, wherever you're at. If you're at a conference, if you're at a networking event, or if it's just a one-on-one encounter, you want to make it more personalized. The key, ladies and gentlemen, is be authentic. Just be you. Be real. Keep it clear, concise, and very easy to understand, and quickly to where you can allow others realize really what you do. Let's go ahead and jump into our 3-step formula for business growth. 1, clarify your vision. 2, create a roadmap. And 3, launch into action. Now, it's basic, right? But we understand what's easy to do is not to do. So let's just keep it real simple. Let's jump into what is clarifying your vision for you. What is your company, your business, your brand, your project? What's the big picture vision? Where do you see yourself long-term? Then we're going to identify the mission, and then we're going to go into what are your core values. These are very important. Let's start with your vision. Your vision is what the end result, like Nadia touched upon, it is like your forward thinking. It is the principles. It's where you see yourself going and where you see yourself in the future. You want to focus on the end result. This sets the direction for your future growth. So it's how you are of service. I dare you to dream big. I want you to think big and think outside the possibilities, the boundless of what's possible. So it is really allowing yourself to create that vision, that if your vision isn't big enough, if it doesn't scare you, it's not big enough. So what is your unique contribution that you want to make? Next is our mission. What is your mission? And creating a mission statement, it's what outlines the purpose and the why for the existence of your business. This conveys what you do and what you aim to achieve. It's really about what sets you apart. Each and every one of you on this call has a unique purpose and a unique offering. And I like to call it your UVP. What is your unique value proposition? And a lot of times it's just you, of what you bring to the table, but what are your services that you can offer? Again, your mission statement should be clear, concise, brief. This will serve as a reference point to all your decision making. Next is our core values. This is crucial. Your core values is really the identity of your business. It is the principles and beliefs that guide your business, your behavior, your decision-making. It's interacting with your customers, those around you. It's building strong relationships of trust, respect, and collaboration. It's your ethics. It's how you do everything, your business practices. It's upholding honesty and transparency. When you couple these three very important details, the vision, mission, and values, making sure that you are in alignment, that you are congruent in every aspect, what happens is you build credibility, and you come up from offering of a space of authenticity, of leading with love and being of service, and you elevate your influence and you attract the right people. Let's go ahead and jump into our next mission. Our next step is creating that roadmap. And what I like to envision is when you get in your car, you have a destination, but you don't enter it. You don't know where you're going. What happens? Well, you get in your car and you end up going around in circles. You go off in detours. You may end up on a lost road. And the same is with our business. If we don't create a clear roadmap entering in the final destination, how do you plan to achieve your business objectives? Then you're going to waste a lot of time, energy, effort, but plugging in that will map you into the most efficient, effective way to where you can be on track and focused on your goals, strategies, and tactics. Let's unpack that a little bit. So your goal is your overall objective of what you want to accomplish. Then it's your strategy is the next level, which is kind of the big picture, the long-term goals. And these are outlining what specific goals you want. This is where the critical decisions are made about what actions that you're going to take in order to achieve that goal long-term. And then the tactics are the actionable steps that bring the strategies to life. These are the day-to-day actions of what you can do in the detailed planning. Let's go ahead and give you an example. You here today of the PSA community, let's say the goal is becoming a thought leader in the public speaking industry. Well, that's a broad goal and that's audacious and that's what we are here. But the strategy, breaking it down, is we need to increase our brand awareness, build a loyal audience, enhance our client engagement, and expand our reach. Now, some tactics might be to break that down even more is to run that social media campaign, to sponsor industry events and conferences, to jump on webinars and summits like this one, to write or publish articles and be a guest spot in reputable industry blogs and attend networking events. This is just a goal of one, but you want to break everything down to a goal, strategy, and tactic. Next up, we have our final piece, which is most important: launch into action. None of this happens unless you are willing to take uncomfortable action, to jump in the game. So what steps are you going to take today, not tomorrow, tomorrow's not on the calendar, to get you closer to elevating your influence and achieving your next level business growth? Well, the first thing that we talked about earlier is priorities. Give me your calendar and I'll tell you what your priorities are. It takes strategic planning, well thought out strategy of, I like to do my top 3. Everything with me starts and ends with my top 3. So it takes that planning of the high value task. What is the most important in this moment for you to do? And then don't miscrew productivity with busyness. 2 different things. We are busy today, but being productive is the key. This is a valuable asset. We have a little bit of time, and so we want to be the most proficient in the least amount of time. And then we want to make progress, continuous movement toward our goal, toward our mission, toward our values, toward what we're working on. And then accountability. Yes, accountability is crucial. What I found in my business and coaching the women I coach is you have that extra layer of commitment, and it really gets you into momentum because you are being tracked. So you can track your progress. You're actually taking ownership into what you say that you want, and you have accountability to give you feedback on how you're showing up. And this actually drives results and drives the action. So having accountability will help you to prevent procrastination and complacency. It will get you moving in the right direction with the right accountability partner or community. Our last one is our 3G. What I like to call this is the guaranteed growth goal. So what is one 3G goal that you're going to commit to in the next 24 and 48 hours? Now, the guaranteed growth goal is something like you are going to, after this summit, you're going to get on social media, make that post. There is one client that you need to reach out to, one customer that you need to follow up. What is that action that you've been putting off that you know that you need to do that will take you closer to elevating your influence and making a difference? So take just one 3G that you're going to commit. I'd love to hear about it. I'd love you to connect with me. I'll be your accountability partner, and let's get moving in the right direction. Let's get you into action so that you can elevate your influence and make a difference that I know that you will make. It's just getting into committed action with your 3G goal. So here's an opportunity if you want to connect with me. I have my website up here, as well as my email and all the social media handles. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over for any Q&A. And also, I'd like to offer, I have a coaching call that I'd like to offer any of you on this call. I'm offering it till the end of May. And it is a 30-40 minute call. We can collaborate, or if there's something specifically that you would like coaching on that I could be of service, I would love to offer my service. And I will actually put my link in the chat and we can chat. And however I can be of service, I'm here. Thank you. Over to you, Brian.
All right, Tatiana, thank you so much. Any questions? So if not, I have, oh, Somesh,
Yes,
go ahead.
Karthik, thank you so much for that insightful sharing of knowledge. I really love the 3Gs, very easy to understand. And if I just flip the question, can you share with us what are things where people have failed? You know, it's so easy to implement all this in our day-to-day lives, but could you tell us, like, where do you see from an experienced coach perspective where folks have been implementing, but then they started sort of failing, so that we avoid those traps?
Wow, what a great question, Somesh. Thank you for that. Where I've seen individuals and the women that I coach is that trying to take on too much all at one time. And so what happens is we're excited and motivated, and we have our well-scheduled plan out, and we have everything, but then we get tied up in the overwhelm. We start it, but we don't continue it because we're taking on too much. And so what I like to break it down into small, more manageable ideas. And so instead of taking on everything all at once, what I do with my clients is, what is the most important in this moment? Let's work right now on the one that's the most highest value task or goal that you are struggling right now, and let's work through that. And a lot of times, Somesh, it's the fear. It's the fear of putting themselves out there and showing up. And 80% of success is showing up. And what I consistently tell my clients is, take messy, uncomfortable action. Because anything that you do for the first time, or if you've done it before, but now you're doing it a different way, it's uncomfortable. But until you keep putting yourself out there, but people relate to authenticity. People relate. If it's messy, it's okay. So we have to get over that being perfect before we start something. So to make a long story short, it's wanting to be perfect. And I actually say it's progress, not perfection. Jump in the game, show up. It doesn't matter how it looks like. Just take that action and do one thing at a time. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hopefully that was helpful.
Yes, very helpful. Thank you.
Nadia, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know if we have more time, but Tatiana, I'm just going to jump everything you say. Like, yes, we even wear the same color. I also love fitness. Yes. Would you share real quick a testimonial, maybe one of the recent clients that had the biggest impact in the business?
Thank you so much, Nadia. That's a great question. And yes, I feel a lot of synergy with you because we need to connect. One of the biggest is I worked with a woman that was a stay-at-home mom, and she hadn't been in the work field for a long time. So it was really, she didn't know what she wanted to do now. It was the next chapter of her life, and she was kind of transitioning in. So it was just working with her and finding what it is her strengths are, and what lights her up. Like, what is your passion? What lights you up? And we really worked through a lot of different tools and processes to get her some clarity. But the other piece of this is that the lack of confidence, the lack of, I've never done this before, or I'm not worthy. And a lot of these mental, as a mindset coach, there's a lot of self-doubt. There's a lot of chatter. And so it's working through that chatter to silence it and showcase and highlight the strengths and what we all have, unique gifts and talents that we bring to the table. And so it's really honing in on those. So I was able to help her from, I don't know what I want to do, but I just know that there's something big for me, to then creating her business that she's dreamed of from before her kids, but now bringing that back into light, but building her confidence and building her courage to take that one step and then another step and then another step. And now she has a full blooming online business, which I'm so proud of. So it wasn't me, it was just her willingness to be coachable, teachable, and trainable. Thank you for your question.
Yeah, thank you. Perfect.
All right, awesome. Actually, we don't have time for any more questions for Tatiana. But we want to thank her for being on here today and for sharing with us. All right.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, oh, you're welcome. So moving on, our next speaker is Victor Lopez. And Victor is a passionate and determined motivational speaker dedicated to inspiring unity and cooperation among individuals, with an unwavering commitment to fostering a sense of togetherness. Victor emphasizes the importance of unity over division in his speeches. Excited for his second opportunity to speak at the summit, Victor brings a fresh perspective and contagious enthusiasm to his presentations. In his talks, Victor delves into the profound concept of time, highlighting its true value and urging audiences to reevaluate their relationship with it. He challenges the notion of taking time for granted, emphasizing the need for a more mindful and positive approach to utilizing this precious resource. Through his engaging speeches, Victor encourages listeners to reflect on their habits and strive for personal growth, ultimately inspiring them to embrace unity and make the most of every moment. So it's time to turn it over to Victor. Take it away.
All right, thank you, Brian. First, I just want to thank the three speakers today. That was incredible. Giving us your time on your busy schedule shares a lot. Tatiana, you nailed it at the end when you said you just got to go for it, even if it comes a little messy. Like I said, this is only my second time up here. I've only known that this was the purpose of my life for less than a year now. So when we think of time, we go time, time, time. Sometimes we love it, sometimes we don't. Sometimes we feel the days go by super fast, and then there's times it goes so slow. We know we can't stop it, we can't rewind it, nor can we move time forward. Yes, we all agree that time is valuable. The time is so precious. That time is money, money is time. Yet we even all say that you can't take your life for granted. But the one thing I have noticed in us is that we do take time for granted. And one of the biggest ones it always comes down to is it's in our personal relationships. So I see it when it comes to us and our families. It could be our parents, could be our siblings, could be our children, any other family members who we've obviously been around for our whole life, if not a part of their life. It goes down to our personal friendships. I'm talking about friendships of 5 years, 10 years, 20 years plus. A bunch of friendships that we've had great memories with. Gone. Oof. They disappeared just like that. And why? I always ask why. And it's over an argument. They come from an argument. Maybe because we didn't believe in something that we had to say. Maybe because we didn't agree with each other. And the part of having long relationships is that we're around each other for so much time. After so many years, you're around somebody for so much time that there's going to be times that we bump heads. There's going to be times where one of us is not having the best day, so they decided to let it out on us, or we let it out on them. So when these things happen, it's supposed to be, we always say, give them some space, give them some time. It should heal, no problem. But over and over, when this happens, something gets in the way. And what always gets in all our way, it's our ego. It's our ego that stops us because it starts to tell us, I didn't do anything wrong. Why should I be the first one to go say something? Or you tell yourself, oh, I did do something wrong. But I was in the right. I shouldn't go around and say anything. So now our ego makes this go from days turn into weeks into months into years. That's it. We've distanced ourselves. We don't speak no more. And even though we've had the greatest memories, even though we want us to all be doing good, because we're not evil, we're all still wish the best on somebody. We don't allow us to move on. So here's another thing that happens. So years go by. Deep down, you want to make sure that you want the person to be doing good. So you go and you ask someone who knows so-and-so. So you go up to them and ask them, oh, how's so-and-so doing? And they tell you, oh, they're doing great. But you know what? I think it's time that you finally reach out. And there was a time in the day when you would have to pick up a phone or you'd have to go knock on the door to see how they're doing. But those days are gone. In today's generation, you just got to pull out your cell phone, go on any social media platform, and most likely you're going to find them. Ooh, so you see a bunch of pictures, you see them doing well. Inside, you're happy. Inside, you're smiling. Oh, look, they're actually doing good. They look happy and everything. And then once again, your ego comes into play. Your ego tells you, oh, look, they're doing fine without me. They look like they're doing great. So I don't really need to reach out no more. Everything is fine. So now I ask you, what if something tragic was going to come? Something bad was going to happen to this person that we no longer speak to? Now, I'm a fan of hip hop. I love rap music. One of my favorite artists is Akon. And Akon has a song called Ghetto. And in the song Ghetto, at the beginning of the second verse, he says, "No need to cherish luxuries because everything comes and goes. Even the life that you have is borrowed because you're not promised tomorrow." And now we all hear that we live on borrowed time. That we all live on borrowed time. Yet we still take advantage of time because we think just because maybe we're young, maybe we still have our parents, maybe we still have our grandparents. We go to the doctors. Doctors tell us that you're doing fine. We're in good health. We go to the gym. We're in good shape. So we automatically think that we get an X amount of years still to come. That is not true. 10 years ago on April 30th, it's just been the 10th year. I have a good friend of mine I've known for 31 years. His mom, who was like a mom to me. When I was young, I never liked sleeping over at people's houses. This was probably one of the only houses I would go sleep at because that's how close I was. His mom was at work. Now, she used to work at a retail store selling clothes. So she was at work and she has no prior health issues, no nothing. She was fine. She went to work. And during work, she told her boss that she started getting a big headache and the side of her face was hurting a lot. And she looked very worried. So he told her, "Do you want me to call you an ambulance?" She said, "No, it's okay." So he said, "Okay, go to the back, get your stuff. And when just drive, you should drive yourself to the hospital, at least go get it checked." As she was walking back to go get her stuff, she collapsed. She dropped. They rush her to the hospital. She gets put in a coma. 3 days later, she passed away. Now, the reason I bring up this story is because I ask you again, what do you do if this person that you no longer speak to, if something happened to them? How will you deal with yourself? Are you going to start to bury yourself with guilt? Are you going to start to have a lot of regret? Because we do say that time heals that kind of emotion. But if it takes you a while, because when you're buried with guilt and you're buried with regret, that's not something easy to overcome. And something that will not wait for you to get over that is time itself. Time will keep going. The people around you are going to need you to be back to yourself. But you're not going to be able to because it eats you up. Now, when I lost my grandma, the woman I love the most in this world, I had a great relationship with her. But the reason I bring this story is because there's not a day that goes by where I don't think about her. Every day she crosses my mind. But I know when I can put that emotion in my mind to it. So I use it when I go to sleep. And I do that because when I tell myself I'm going to sleep and I'm going to go rest, it becomes my time. So even if it takes me 15 minutes to half an hour to finally get some sleep, I know that it's not going to bother me because I'm doing that on my time. So you cannot let yourself get over with living with regret and not having to reach out. After my grandma passed away, I found myself that I divided from my family. I feel that from 2021 to end of 2023, I was far. I can probably count how many times I seen my mom, my two sisters, my niece. I miss my sister's wedding, and I blamed it to drama. Something I can never get back. Now I have a brother. We have the same dad, different moms. That's my half brother, but I still call him my brother. He has two kids now. One's 4 years old. His boy's 4 years old. His daughter is 2 years old. Up to last year, I've only seen his boy once. And now knowing that I wanted to become, when I realized what my new purpose was in life, wanting to become a speaker, it really it clicked in my mind. What are you, Victor, what are your real values? Like, what do you want? So then I challenged myself at the end of 2023. And that was to be a better son, to be a better brother, to be a better. I talk to them all the time. I see them really often. I try to see them at least once a week. The whole vibe is good. And what that does, it's like a big mountain of weight on the shoulders just came right off. A big sign of relief. I let it out. I feel good. It feels great. Life is short. You got to be able to get over these little things. So now like Nadia did earlier, I'll do it now. I challenge everyone that if you have a relationship like this, or you know somebody that has a relationship like this, I challenge you to pick up a phone, go knock on the door, write a personal message. But you got to understand that maybe it doesn't work out. Maybe it doesn't go as easy as I say. Maybe you knock on the door, they peek through the curtains, they say they don't want to answer the door. Maybe they answer the door and they tell you, please, can you leave? And they close the door. Maybe they don't answer your phone call. Maybe they answer the phone and tell you, please leave me alone and hang up. Maybe they don't reply back to your message. Or maybe the message just says, please leave me alone. And at first, it's going to hurt. It's going to bug you. For sure, it's going to bug you. You're probably going to think, oh, Victor's a dummy. Why did I listen to Victor? I shouldn't have reached out. But give it a day, give it or two. Just give it that little bit of time. You're going to feel that same weight that I had, like that mountain that was buried on my shoulders. You're going to feel it come off. You're going to feel great, knowing that you were the bigger person, that you actually went out of your way and reached out. Now, we can only do so much. I'm not going to tell you to go around and approach the person several times if it doesn't happen. But if you tried it, awesome. You will feel better. Everybody who's a business person, you must work a lot. Some of us get 60, 70, 80-hour weeks. Maybe you're traveling all the time. You're away from the family. Find just a little bit of a way to change that as well. Your family wants you there. If you have children, be there. I see a lot of kids. I don't have children of my own, but I have friends, and I see them at their when they go play sports, and then you can always tell that only one parent comes to the game, so they can't be there to see the others play. So I just challenge you as well to just try to be there more often. I know some people tell me, yeah, but before I got married, I told my spouse that I'm always going to be working. This is who I am. That's how it is. And if your spouse agree, great. But you got to remember, if that's what you and your spouse, okay. But if you've had children, and for the last thing I'll say is, I understand you want to leave them. You want to leave them everything you can. You want to leave them with everything you possibly can. But I guarantee you that your family would trade all of that for more memories and more time. Thank you, Brian.
Okay. Any questions for Victor?
Okay, Victor, wow, your story is so impactful. And I know, I mean, I just you shared from the heart, and that's really truly what it is. And I can see that your pain has become your purpose. And it's such a great reminder. So thank you for that. Thank you for sharing authentically. My question to you is, what's next for you?
All right. So for myself, I found now, like I said, I just started over a year ago, but now in this time, I realized that I want my main audience to be high school students, college, university students, and professional athletes. Now, for my high school students, I would title it "Stay True to Yourself While Remaining Focused Along the Way." And then I have a good one for college, university students, for them to stay in school and keep fighting through it, because that's your first big goal. For professional athletes, it's you've broken so many bones, you've done so much sacrifice, you've done the hard part, you're there. Don't let something off of, like, for example, for football, don't let some off-field incident come and take that away. Because I watch sports and I read it every day. Something off the field ruins a person's career like that.
Wow, congratulations. I implore you, that message is what we really need with today's youth and really inspiring them. So congratulations and keep up the great work.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Anyone else? If not, well, while others are getting the courage to come on and ask a question, I just want to say that I've enjoyed watching Victor, and he's presented twice now, and I love seeing the growth in Victor, and that's what the PSA is all about. It's speakers, coaches, entrepreneurs helping one another. All of us learning from each other, and that's why we host the virtual summit, and yeah, that's what it's all about. So, anyone else? Okay, if there's no other questions, comments, or anything, then we will move on to our next speaker.
Thank you so much, Brian.
Yes, thank you, Victor. All right, our next speaker is Jessica Del Rey. And Jessica is a dedicated health and women life coach committed to empowering individuals to overcome obstacles and live their best lives. With a focus on addressing imposter syndrome, Jessica provides valuable insights and strategies to help individuals navigate and overcome this common challenge. Through her compassionate and supportive approach, Jessica guides clients towards embracing their true potential and building confidence in themselves. With Jessica's guidance, individuals can break free from self-doubt and step into their authentic selves, ready to tackle life's challenges with courage and resilience. All right, so this I'm looking forward to, because I struggle with imposter syndrome. So I'm excited for this. So take it away, Jessica.
Thank you so much, Brian. So as Brian said, first of all, let me say thank you, Brian, because you make me sound so good. And that was so eloquent. I really appreciate it. Brian is the one who wrote that, from what I understand. And there's no way I would sound that good if I wrote my own bio. So hi, everybody. I'm Jess. I am a mom to 7, a grandma to 3, a wife of, well, next week at this time, it'll make 26 years. And I wear a whole lot of other hats too, but those aren't terribly important. So today I'm here to talk to you about imposter syndrome and how we can maybe fix that problem in our own lives. So imposter is defined as a person who practices deception under an assumed character, identity, or name. Now, if I'm talking too fast, somebody please wave at me, because when I get nervous, I talk faster, and I'm from New Orleans, so I already talk fast, but I'm gonna try and slow it down. Now, I'm not sure how many times in my life I've heard the words, oh my gosh, you're amazing. You do it all. Nothing ever shakes you or bothers you. And I've always thought, and occasionally I even say it out loud, well, sure, but I don't do anything in a spectacular manner. I'm strong because I have no choice. My life sometimes feels like the very best game of pretend in the world, like the best game I've ever played. I pretend to be a good mom, a good daughter, a good wife, a good business owner, a good friend, a good sister, jack of all trades, right? Y'all know what I'm saying? Somebody thumbs up or something. Like nobody's face is here but Brian's. So Brian, nod at me, please. Thank you. Do we know that whole quote? We love to quote it, jack of all trades, master of none. However, the whole quote, it was Shakespeare. Now don't worry, it's very easy to understand in spite of it being old Billy Shakespeare. Here it is, a jack of all trades is a master of none, but oft times better than a master of one. Now I'm gonna be honest with you. I think old Billy, because we like this, me and William Shakespeare. I think he was right. I'd rather be doing all of the things and not be perfect than just have that one perfect trade right here and ignore everything else. What about you? So let's discuss this. What are our primary and secondary goals? Do we even have secondary goals? Do we give everything and everybody around us except ourselves primary status? Don't worry, I'm not picking on you, I promise. I'm looking inward, okay? We have this tendency as business people, as parents, as significant others, as siblings, as children, to feel like we're not good enough, we're not strong enough, we're not businesslike enough, right? Now I'm up here in front of you guys, and I think last I checked, there were, 8 other people here? And I'm gonna say I'm up here, and I can't figure out why y'all are listening to this crazy old hippie talk about anything. Imposter syndrome has wormed its way in, even in the middle of our chat today. So how do we defeat this syndrome, as it were? In my life, if you know me at all, and none of you do, because Nadia just left and she's the only one who knows me, but I and my family, we are medieval recreators, okay? So I relate a lot of things to the Middle Ages. I love history. When I face battles, some people call them battles, demons, problems, whatever you call them, I refer to them as dragons that must be slain. So from here on out, this imposter syndrome, that's going to be referred to as the dragon we seek to destroy. This dragon, y'all, it messes with us sometimes daily. We wake up, we haven't slept well, we're wondering how to accomplish this list as long as our arm in the 18-ish hours that we're awake. 18 was generous, sometimes it's more like 23, but that's not the point. Maybe your list includes your daily chores, right? Making your bed, brushing your teeth. If you're me, washing your hair, because that's a tough one some days, okay? Maybe it includes your business stuff. So you have to head to your brick and mortar store, or you have to post some more products online. I don't know, maybe it's getting in touch with clients. A lot of us are coaches here. So we have to meet with clients. That's why I was late today, because I had a meeting right before this with somebody who's a potential client. Maybe it's also going to include crazy things like grocery shopping and meal cooking, because they insist on eating, don't they? If you have children, you understand. They just insist on eating 4 times a day, sometimes 7 times a day. And it doesn't matter how often you clean, because it's going to be a mess again. Maybe you got to throw in like bath time with your children. I'm really thankful I don't have that anymore. It's nice to have an empty nest on days like that. Anyway, so each of these things alone, maybe they don't seem so big, but when you mix them all up and you throw them at somebody after a bad night's sleep, all of a sudden, you throw it at me and I'm going to lose it and wonder why I ever thought that I could be successful. It's this huge fire-breathing dragon that I don't have a way of overcoming. Or do I? Or do you? How do you start your day? Do you jump in the shower and then you jump right into your clothes and then you jump right into the 4,000 things that you have to do in your overtaxed life? Or do you enjoy a slower morning? Now, in years past, I had a bunch of kids at once, right? They were all little. They were like 9 to 0, right? And all 5 of them at once, okay? So I would jump in the shower, jump in the clothes, put on the makeup, run, and just hurry into life. And my life was very hurried and overtaxed. But nowadays, my life looks vastly different. Some of that is because I don't have 5 little kids anymore. So it got a little bit easier. But I choose every day to wake up and start my day prayerfully. Okay. That might not be your thing, but stick with me. I hop in the shower, put on clothes, fix my face, fix my hair. I fix that first cup of coffee. You feel me? Brian's there. He knows about that first cup of coffee. Yeah. So I got that coffee and I sit in my reading chair and I read my Bible and, a book that I'm studying, something to feed into my mind. And I find that feeding my soul, feeding into my brain every morning helps me. It sets an excellent precedent for my day. It's a slightly slower start than when I was in the middle of raising babies, okay? But it's how I care for myself. I self-care, right? Now, Jess, you might ask ever so calmly with your hair standing on end, what does that have to do with dragons that need defeating, crazy hippie lady? Thank you for asking. I'm going to share now. If I start my day haphazardly or in this hurry, I'm not focused on the positive. When I'm focused on the good, the spiritual, the blessings in my life, if I start my day focusing on those things, the day lends itself to good progress, good timing, good happening. Good timing, good progress, good happening means these dragons, like we were talking about earlier, are not affecting me like they once were. They don't affect me as much or as often. Therefore, I conclude that the dragons have been defeated. You know that saying that goes, you can't pour from an empty cup, right? How do you fill your cup? Or maybe the better question is, do you fill your cup? So I've told you how I fill my cup in the mornings. A little Bible, a little prayer, a little book. That's what I like to do, okay? I start my day in prayer and supplication, but maybe that's not your thing, and that's okay. Maybe your thing is you prefer meditation and yoga. More power to you. I don't do yoga. I'm not good at it, and it frustrates me. It doesn't mean I don't stretch, nonetheless. Maybe you like to get up in the morning, have your cup of coffee, and then take your puppy on a long walk. Maybe you like to sit and read a book, or maybe you like to just lay in the bed and scroll on your phone. And if that's how you relax and how you fill your own cup, then do that. But plan that time to fill your cup. Otherwise, that time goes out the door. You know you're going to be busy as soon as your feet hit the floor. So if you don't plan that into your day, then you don't get to fill your cup. And you're trying to pour from that empty cup all day long into everybody but yourself. Now, in the evenings, I have a skincare routine that's very important to me. You would not know how old I am looking at this face, and I work really hard to keep it that way. So don't guess how old I am unless you're going to guess in my 20s. Anyway, I take care of my skin. I wash off the day. I rejuvenate my skin. I rejuvenate my mind in this time as well. I spend that time thinking about my day and being thankful, this kind of attitude of gratitude. It sounds so cliche. Now I'm kind of sorry I said it, but anyway, that's how I fill my cup at night, to be able to rest, to be able to prepare for the next day. So do you have that kind of routine in the morning or at night? And why not? You'll pardon my assumption, but most people do not, unless they're, crazy like I am, I guess. What is it going to take for you to realize that you are just as important as everybody and everything around you? You are as important as your spouse, as your significant other, as your children, as your coworkers, as your job, as the dishes, as the laundry. Okay, there I was talking to myself. Anyway, there are dishes waiting for me when I'm done here, and I'm just pretending they don't exist. Anybody else understand that feeling too? Yeah. All right, so let's get to the heart of how we're feeling. Why are we in our minds not as important as everybody else in our lives? Women and men, I don't even know. Sorry about that. Women and men, there we go, see others differently than they see themselves. We see our failures much more clearly and largely than our successes. We have this tendency, especially because social media is so rampant, like everybody's on every social media now, right? We have this tendency to compare ourselves to what we see in others. Now, we have to remember that social media, or even just chatting around the water cooler, if you're in some kind of company like that, that presents the A side of people's lives. Now, some of you look significantly younger than me, but I'm just going to throw this out there. Anybody else remember records, LPs, albums that we used to put on a record player? Thank you, Brian, for proving that I am not the only person here who knows a record. Well, on those records, there was an A side and a B side. And the A side, that's where everyone put their top hits, right? All the songs that you knew every word to because they played on the radio, they were on side A. Side B was those what we call lesser known songs. Some people might say flops, but it depends on the band, okay? You're living your B side every day. Some days are great A side days that you want to share with the world. But those days when you wake up and you've stepped on Legos and you tripped over the dog and you landed in his food bowl and it was wet food because his tummy was hurting. And then you got up and you realized you did not do the dishes the night before. That's your B side day. And that is not the side day that you are going to take a picture and share on social media. Am I right? We see the A version of everybody's life. All the pretty, beautiful, picture-worthy moments, right? We are comparing our daily B sides to everyone else's A side. And that doesn't really work out, does it? It's kind of like comparing apples to oranges. Well, no, it's not. It's a little more like comparing apples to Brussels sprouts. There's not a comparison. Now, at the heart of imposter syndrome is the thought, or maybe it's the feeling, that we are somehow less than those around us. Now, I agree, our lives are all different, but I will die on the hill that says we are all amazing and beautiful people created in God's image and worthy of love, joy, and peace. I say that we take some time to remind each other and ourselves that it's okay to make ourselves a priority. It is okay to take care of yourself, to fill your own cup. It's okay to feed love and light and kindness into yourself. We have to learn to allow ourselves the freedom to care as much for us as we do for everyone else. Defeating this syndrome is pretty simplistic, but it's not really simple. Seeing ourselves as who we are rather than the person we feel, okay? There's a difference in truth and feelings, remember that. That's a difficult concept, but it's at the core of defeating this dragon. So how do we do this? That's a great question. I think the best way to overcome your inner turmoil is to feed love and kindness into yourself. We have these harsh words to say about ourselves, don't we? And in my humble opinion, that's where the syndrome stems from. We can sit in this room and we can look to our left and we can look to our right, and the chances are good we can find something kind to say about everybody we see in this room. So for example, right now, Alvina came live on so she can wave at me, and she has this really super cute haircut. Like, it is so cute and it just frames her face perfectly. And Brian has this amazing background that I have loved since the moment I saw it. I just adore it. Okay. We could look at everybody, and I won't pick on anybody else. And I apologize for picking on you too, but we can look at people and we can find something good to say, right? But when we look in the mirror, what do we say good to the person looking back at us? How often, honestly, do you look in a mirror and have something kind to say to the face that's looking back at you? We replay these words that were misspoken or said in anger, or maybe we're angry that we didn't speak faster or have a better comeback. We don't have good things to say to ourselves because we see the negative more often than the positive. So how often, honestly, I'm gonna just shut up for a second. I know that's hard to believe, but I want you to think about it. When was the last time you looked in the mirror and said something good to yourself? Ooh, uncomfortable silence. Now, if you're like me, the answer is probably never or almost never. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. The why to that question could absolutely take us months to answer, and is part of what my life coaching program is about. However, today, let's just focus on some small steps to overcome this trouble. The first step is to feed positivity into yourself. That's hard for us to do. We speak positively about others. We feed into others. We encourage others, but we never think of ourselves as that same level as everyone else around us. So here's some homework. Yeah, adults get homework. It's okay. I want you to do this on your bathroom mirror, right above where you brush your teeth. I want you to take a dry erase marker and write the following. I am smart. I am important. I am worthy. Now, in case you're taking notes, I'm going to slow that down and run it back. I am smart. I am important. I am worthy. Now, step 2 follows by reading these words daily, twice a day. So every time you brush your teeth, I want you to say these words out loud to yourself and read them. I am smart. I am important. I am worthy. I'm not asking you to believe them, just to read them out loud. Soon you're going to learn what I've learned, that speaking life into yourself means you believe the words that you're saying. Eventually, you're going to come to believe yourself to be smart, important, and worthy because you've heard it so gosh darn many times. Step 3 is a whole lot more simple. Step 3, use this method and speak life into the people around you. Speak these words to your children, to your spouse, to your significant other, to your coworkers. When was the last time you told your coworker that they were important to you? When was the last time you told you that you're important? Be the change that you want to see in your own life for everybody. Thank you all for your time, and remember that you're worthy, so be fabulous. Does anybody have any questions? I saw there was a lot of chatting, so I'm going to go back and read it now.
So thanks, Jess, for not commenting on my hair.
I really do love your background. I also kind of like your shirt. The stripes, they're kind of bold. I like it. But the background, the first time we met, Brian, I was like, oh my gosh, I want that background.
It's I mean, it's not virtual, so it
Well-
just hangs there.
Yeah, I got to get one. Thank you so much, everybody saying such kind things in the chat. I really appreciate you all. Does anybody have any questions or comments or thoughts or concerns? That's what I say to my students when I teach. Alvina said, someone once told me to be my own best friend, talk to myself that way, and see how it changes. That's great advice. That's really amazing advice. I don't want to talk to myself like I talk to my best friend. We have a really weird relationship. And
Well,
no,
and I hope, oh, I was gonna say, and I hope you didn't say this and I missed it. I have ADHD, so that's why I don't always remember everything that's said. But I mean, I've heard a lot of people say, well, think of your worst enemy. You know, what would you say to them? And sometimes we say things that we would never say to our worst enemy. We say about ourselves. So I like to think of that way too.
I think when we start to see ourselves as people instead of failures, that's where the change comes. We see our own failures more often than we see everyone else's because we're in our own heads all the time. You know what I mean? Like I'm in my own head. So I'm going to think about the thing that, like, remember when I messed up and I was like, I don't even know where Menon came from? That is going to be on repeat in my head for 2 days because I was an idiot while public speaking and I messed up the word men. And that's not true because I'm hardest on myself. Y'all all laughed it off and was like, oh, thank God she made a mistake. So when I do, it'll be fine, right? Like, but for me, it was the worst possible. Like, I'm going to go and tell my sister, you won't believe what I did in this speech, right? But it's because we're hardest on ourselves. And overcoming this syndrome is all about realizing that we're human first. We're people just like the people around us. And it's okay to make a mistake. And you don't have to beat yourself up because everybody else laughed at the mistake, you know? So why am I going to go and beat myself up for 2 days about the misstep over a word because I was talking too fast, you know? I appreciate you guys letting me come in and speak. It's been wonderful to be here.
All right. Anyone else? All right. Thank you, Jess. So we're moving on to our final speaker. All right. Alvina Nadim is a multicultural powerhouse hailing from Pakistan and raised in Canada and the US, armed with a bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering with a specialization in aeronautics and a minor in management from McGill University. Alvina's academic journey laid the foundation for her illustrious career. Her professional path is marked by versatility and resilience, having served in diverse roles ranging from project manager to change management consultant. Drawing from her childhood wonder and innate curiosity, Alvina seamlessly blends technical expertise with a profound passion for people, crafting innovative solutions to complex challenges. As a proud mother and ovarian cancer survivor, Alvina's personal triumphs fuel her drive to inspire others. In her upcoming talk, she shares her journey of resilience, growth, and the art of navigating any field with confidence. With Alvina's insights and experiences, audiences are empowered to overcome obstacles and embrace their potential for success. And I love reading this bio because I realize how much I have in common with Alvina. I have a degree in manufacturing engineering and a degree in engineering management, and I worked for Boeing Commercial Airplanes. I am a proud father, and I am a prostate cancer, or I live with prostate cancer. So I guess I got quite a bit in common with Alvina, and I turn it over to her. Go for it.
Thank you so much, Brian. It's so nice to meet everybody here, even though it's virtually, it's still nice to meet you. I actually had some slides, Brian, so is it okay if I share my screen?
Yes. Yeah, you're a co-host, so you should be able to share.
Okay, perfect. All right. I just want to make sure you can also see me at the same time. I'm not sure what you guys see on your end. Great. All right. So hi, everyone. My name is Alvina, and today I want to talk to you about navigating the world with confidence. But before I do that, let's get to know each other. So here's a timeline I drew up to kind of show you, where I come from, and you got a little bit of that from Brian already. So I was born in Pakistan. I moved to Montreal when I was 7. Then moved back to New Jersey with my parents because of my dad, and then moved back to Montreal again. Studied at McGill, got my engineering degree, started working in construction, like heavy civil, mega kind of projects, industrial type projects. There was a lot of flying in and flying out. It was a busy life for a 20-something-year-old. It was a lot of fun. But then I wanted to become a mom, start a family, and I decided to come back once again to Montreal, settle down, cool my jets. And it's at that time that I got really interested in coaching. The people side of me was hungry. And so I decided to get a coaching certificate here in Montreal, and also went towards change management, which I love because it's truly a bridge between the people side of things and the technical stuff. There's a lot of change management being used, especially in the tech space, but it could really be used anywhere. It's really, truly, I find that merger between, process and more analytical thinking towards, okay, well, how do we get people to change and adopt change and go through change? And then, as Brian mentioned, last year I actually got diagnosed with ovarian cancer at 36, which immersed me in a year of patient advocacy and really getting involved and trying to see, well, how could I use, my baggage that I'm sharing with you here with the world of healthcare, and what can I bring to help it change and move forward and advance? So what is confidence? I'm going to throw that question back at you and ask you, well, what is it for you? Thing is, it could be anything. So is it a belief for you? Is it an outcome, a set of actions? Maybe it's a feeling, or it's an ongoing process. Perhaps it's a perception or a journey, or maybe it's a state of being. So I wonder what you think, and feel free to type in the chat how you see confidence. What is it for you? So I think it depends, but let's start with the dictionary definition. So confidence, it's a feeling of consciousness of one's powers or of reliance on one's circumstance. It's a faith or belief that one will act in the right, proper, or effective way. Or maybe it's the quality or state of being certain, certitude. So as we can see, even in the dictionary, it's not super clear. It's not black and white. So the way I see it, I see confidence as something that you can feel either before, during, or after you do something. So think about it this way. Let's say you learn to play the piano at a very young age, like 4 or something, and you're really good at it. So if I asked you, how confident are you in playing the piano? You'd probably say, I'm very confident. So that confidence is a result of you practicing your art. So it's the after, right? So you've done something to feel that confidence. But if now I ask you, the same person that plays the piano, well, how do you feel about picking up, I don't know, another instrument, the guitar maybe? You might not feel that you can say, yes, I can play it, but you might have some confidence in saying, well, considering that I play an instrument, I have a good foundation of how music theory works, I could probably pick it up. So your confidence level might already be somewhat higher than someone who's never touched an instrument, right? So this is where you're in that before state. Because you've done something that's a little bit similar, you might feel confident about taking it on. And of course, the during one is the easier one to understand because, well, maybe you're learning something and you're building your confidence as you're learning the thing and feeling more confident about it. So that's why I say that I think of it as something that you can feel before, during, or after you do something. For me as an engineer, I like to think of things in formulas sometimes and images. So the formula I have created is when I don't know why, I have the X required to figure it out. And the thing here is the X is personal to each one of us. We don't all have the same X, and that's okay. So if I were to share my X, it would be this. My X is that I'm curious, I'm creative, I have grit, determination, and I am resourceful. So if you give me a problem, I will do whatever I can and that's humanly possible to try to figure it out and try to figure out, well, who do I need? How do I do this? And I will do it. And because I know my X, I feel confident in my ability to do something. That's what my X is. So now you might be thinking, okay, Alvina, that's great, but how do we start thinking like that? What do we have to do? Well, you have to find your X, like I mentioned. So, and how do we do that? Well, it starts with taking time to acknowledge your accomplishments, which brings me back to why I shared that timeline with you. And so here, I would love for you to take a screenshot of this screen, and after this talk or whenever you have some time, sit down with this blank line and think about what are the things that you are proud of? What are the things that you have accomplished? And try to think outside of the box, not just awards or degrees or, things that we tend to celebrate in our professional lives, but in your personal life too. Maybe you've overcome an obstacle. Maybe you faced something difficult and you came through. Basically, my question is, what are the things that you achieved, overcame to be here today in this present moment? We all carry all of that with us, but we get so used to being here that we kind of take it for granted. We kind of take the path that we took for granted, and we forgot all the great things we've either achieved or we've overcome. Listening today to a lot of you, I saw that, in Victor's speech. I came in a bit late, so I only actually heard Victor and afterwards, but there were so many things that it resonated with me. The obstacles you overcome, all of those things, they count, they matter, they make you who you are today. So don't dismiss something that happened in your personal life, and don't always just think of, oh, my degree and my accomplishments, my work. There's so much more to us. And we've created this false notion of work-life balance, whereas it's one life and everything else is a part of that life. So celebrate all of that. There's also key questions that I would like to propose to you to ask yourself, and here they are. So whenever you are setting yourself up to work on something, this could be either for long-term goals or for something that's short-term that you need to do in the immediate future. But this technique always works because it's structured, it's based in psychology, and this is coming straight out of the way I was trained to be a coach. So you always start with asking yourself, well, what is it that I want to achieve? Make that very clear. Second, the classic Simon Sinek why, get into why is this important? Like, what's my true motivation? Why do I want to achieve this? What will I get? What's the meaning? What is the meaning of this thing if I achieve it? How will this change my life? And why do I care so much, essentially? And third, you want to ask yourself, well, how do I know when I'll be successful? What does that look like? What does me succeeding, this thing that I want to do, truly look like? And I want to take a minute here to talk about this a little bit more, because these two things that I just said, the why and the image of success, are super, super important. Here's why. The why itself will anchor you in why you want to do this, so that if there's a storm and if there's an obstacle or adversity that you're feeling as you're trying to achieve said thing, you're anchored and you're rooted, and you won't just blow away with the wind. So that's where the why is so important. It's so important to anchor ourselves. And then the vision, the success, what it looks like, all of that is super important as well, because it pulls you towards that image. I want you to think of this as this idea that you're almost like tricking your brain. So the more you visualize you doing the thing, the more you're almost creating like a future memory, and it starts to feel real. It starts to feel like, hey, I feel like I've already done this because it's so vivid in my mind. And so the more vivid it becomes, the less you start to fear this thing. It's almost like it's a memory that you haven't experienced yet in real life just yet. And the best way to visualize this is to think of going on an excursion on a mountain. So imagine you're looking up at the top, the summit, and you see where you have to go, right? You know that, okay, it's far, but I see my destination. I can see it visually, it's clear. But if the day is cloudy, you won't see that, right? And you might be spinning in circles, you might fall, which is okay. But when you get up and you look up, it's cloudy and you don't know which direction to go. So this is why the vision of success and what it looks like to really get into the sensory part of creating that exact image in your mind is super important. And the more you do it, the more real it becomes, and the more you're lifting away the fog and the clouds to make that image clear for you and make that destination clear for you in your mind. So dreaming is great, but we don't want it to stay a dream, right? We want it to go into action mode. So the next question to ask yourself is, as you would if you were actually climbing a mountain, is to look up and then immediately look down at your feet and say, well, what's my next step? What's my next move? And that's where you need to ask yourselves, well, how do I make this move happen? Who or what will help me get there? What are my resources? And resources don't have to be monetary, right? It can be people who can help you. It can be people who've done something, who are maybe 2 steps ahead of you, and they could maybe guide you or help you make it happen. So who are your cheerleaders? Who has the experience, or who has maybe a connection that they can connect you with? So think of expanding the definition of the word resource from beyond what we first think of, material things. It's more than that. It's knowledge, it's our connection, it's our network. And of course it is, the funds always help too as well, for sure. Okay, next, super important, and I love talking about this, is removing labels. So the harm of naming our traits as strengths and weaknesses is that we then tend to accept them as we have labeled them. And this is super important because we have to realize that we just have these traits and we are the ones who label them as a strength or weakness. So we have to take that power back from the label, remove it, and do this instead. Realize all traits have the potential to be positive or negative. Thank you, Jess. I love that. So how do you do this? So you have to create awareness around both the superpower of your trait as well as the traps. And that's how you take control, so that you can navigate around the traps and hone in on the traits where they're successful to you. It's so important to be aware of ourselves. Well, how do we do that? I want you to think about this. Think of your traits, and if you are used to calling them strengths or weaknesses, that's fine. You can still do that. List your top 5 strengths and list your top 5 weaknesses. And then I challenge you to look at them and say, well, where does this trait benefit me? And where does it hurt me? And do the same thing with what you've labeled as a weakness. And you'll be surprised to find that there is a flip side to the coin. And truly, there are two sides to this. And that once you're aware of that, you can truly control how you use your traits and what you're made of. It gives you back control. And super important also is to ask ourselves, well, in which environments do I naturally thrive in? I gave this speech originally at McGill University to young women in STEM who were, starting their professional career as students in STEM, and I really wanted to emphasize this because when we're younger, we kind of have these ideals imposed onto us on, what does success look like and what we should achieve and what those environments look like in our minds. But they're maybe not the natural environments that we naturally would thrive in. And so we create this pressure around us to want to thrive in these almost artificial environments that weren't meant for us in the first place. And that creates a lot of stress, anxiety, and eventually could also lead to burnout and things like that. So for adults, I think it could be a hard question to answer because maybe we've gotten used to those environments, even though they're not ideal for us. So my challenge to you would be to think about yourself as a child and think about what were the environments that you naturally thrived in as a younger child? What were the things that you enjoyed doing? What did that space look like? And think about how can you reshape your current present environment to resemble that. And sometimes it actually could mean that you need to pick up your bags and go somewhere else, which is what I ended up doing. I needed to connect with people more. I like being around people. And that's where I pivoted my career towards going from construction management and things like that to change management, where I'm still in those kind of processes and stuff, but I'm more connected to people now because of this change. I know Jess talked extensively about imposter syndrome, so I'll just touch on it a very little bit and really share what I feel about imposter syndrome and how I see it personally. I see it as a reminder. I see it as a reminder of either there's a clash in values between what's happening and what's going on inside me and what I feel and my values. Maybe it's a reminder to revisit my why. Is there a clash in what I'm doing and it's not jiving with my core belief system and the why of why I'm doing what I'm doing? And maybe sometimes it's, hey, maybe I do need to learn a little something, but to de-dramatize it and be like, okay, my values are in check, my why is in check. And yes, maybe I need something to learn. It's not a big deal. I can learn it. So it's about de-dramatizing that maybe I do need to learn something, but that's okay. I know I'm capable and reminding myself that I'm capable. Again, being real, being authentic, being yourself. I feel like we hear this a lot, but it's so important. And on social media now, it's almost become like this cliche saying, be your authentic self. But it's true. We really need to really think more deeply about these things to really be real and authentic and be yourself. Because again, like I was saying before, when we don't do that, that's where the stress comes from. That's where this heaviness comes from. Because the thing is, it's hard to put a mask on and pretend to be something that we're not. That's a lot of work. That's draining. That's exhausting. So the best gift you can give yourself is to be real, to be authentic, and to be yourself as much as you can. And again, what I would say is it would be great if everybody could practice saying this sentence more often. So if you don't know something, it's okay. I think if you start saying things like, I don't know the answer to that, but I'll figure it out and get back to you, it shows so much confidence. This sentence oozes confidence because it's saying that you have the guts to admit that you don't know something because you know that you will figure it out. And that's just like saying, oh yeah, it's not a big deal. I'll figure this out. So just by admitting it, you're actually oozing confidence. At first, it might not seem authentic, but the more you say it, the more you'll actually realize that, yeah, I did actually figure it out. So now I'm actually believing what I'm saying because I did do it. So again, when I don't know why, I have the X required to figure it out. So my main message to you here today is, find your X. What's your X? Thank you.
Any questions from anyone?
And
I
please
know we're,
feel free to connect. I put up a bit my links and stuff. I would love to connect with everybody here.
yeah, and I know we're at the top of the hour, so there are a lot of people that have to get on other coaching calls and things like that. So maybe if you have a burning question for Alvina, you can see her email address and her webpage and all that.
Awesome. Thank you. And yes, so I believe this is being recorded as well, right? So if anyone.
Yes, it is being recorded.
Perfect. Great.
Okay. So we will wrap everything up here. And I just want to thank all of our speakers and participants. We couldn't do it without you. So thanks to Nadia, Somish, Tatiana, Victor, Jessica, and Alvina. And our next virtual summit will be on June 20th. So look for emails to let you know. And if you want to sign up to speak, look for those emails as well. So we will see you in June. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Take care. Thank you.
Bye.